Hey, folks, thanks for joining us for a sight lap as we look ahead to this weekend's race at Thunder Valley in Denver, Colorado. And going to be an interesting one. We had quite a shakeup up in Hangtown. So let's dive into it. I'm your host, David Pingree. Good to be back after we've had some of our staff filling in for us and taking this over for the summer. Just lots going on with Bruce and myself and Jason Lawrence getting ready for the Loretta Lynn stuff. So good to have these guys filling in, including our partner here, Jeff Beaver, who is our social media content director and security and whatever else. We give him a lot of titles around here, Jeff. Huh?
Yep, asshole in charge.
Asshole in charge. It fits perfectly.
Yep.
I want to thank our sponsors before we get rolling here. Factory Connection. These guys have been fantastic. The best suspension, period. UR Water, Rock and Turf, Maxis, and Bet Online, which we're going to get into some more Bet Online stuff here as we get down to the odds because they're out for the weekend. Going to be some super interesting stuff. So big thank you to all of our partners. We're stoked to have them on board. Let's look at weather for the weekend. 90 and 93 today and tomorrow. So it's hot. 93 up there in Colorado. That is freaking warm. Just at that elevation, man, you're going to cook. It cools down a little bit for Saturday, 85 degrees. And a little system moves through. It's going to be a 53% chance of thunderstorms. So clear in the morning, and then about noon, typical Rocky Mountain afternoon, it's going to roll through. And we may get some rain, we may not, but I guarantee you we're going to get some wind. Maybe a few sprinkles here and there. I don't think it's going to dump, but if you're going, just plan on that. It's going to be hot, and then it's going to get windy and messy a little bit in the afternoon. So could make it interesting in those second motos. So let's start with kind of the 250 class and what's going on there and what we're looking forward to. Obviously, Deegan's on a roll. And, I keep waiting for Kitchen. I keep waiting for Shimoda, like Vial, to kind of get it rolling. And Vial did have a good moto up in Hangtown, but sort of had a gift given to him. And with that crash that Deegan had, I don't know that he was going to catch Hayden Deegan. But I keep waiting for one of those guys to step up and kind of just challenge Hayden a little bit. He's been really kind of a cut above in the first four motos of this season.
Yeah, honestly, I think Vial's going to be the one to step up first. Just the way he's been riding. I don't know if Levi's just kind of got a hangover from the Supercross thing, and if that took a mental toll on him. I remember you saying that after your battle with Shea that you were just an utter mess. He's not an utter mess, but it's had to played into his mental frame of mind a little bit going into the nationals. And how much testing did he really get in, especially after coming together with Cameron? Did that put him a little behind too? He was pretty beat up from that. So I think he was probably a little behind on bike testing and getting ready for the nationals. And then I think the mental thing probably took a little bit of a toll on him. His mentality seems pretty good at the races. I think he's just behind, and I think Tom's coming on hard. You just kind of watch the way he's riding his bike. I think Tom's going to be the one to step up first.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, and I get worried. I start looking at the points, and I'll have you rattle through just where they're at. But you start to kind of see a guy wins three motos in a row and starts to really run away. I mean, the points are already really spread out for just two races in, and you start to kind of go, man, these guys better stop the bleeding here pretty soon. And then when we start talking about the 450 class, though, Jett starts off with a perfect race at Paula, and with a big crash, now he's already almost a complete moto down. So it can turn around very quickly. Doesn't take a lot. Shoot, that crash that Deegan had at Hangtown, if he had just come down a little bit differently or takes a rib from the bar, like whatever, and he might be out for, he might not have finished that moto, right? So it can change quickly. I don't want to be too melodramatic about it, but take us through where the points are at just in those top three or four so we know.
So Deegan's sitting the best in all of Pro Moto with points right now at 97 points. He's accrued more points than anybody 250, 450. And the Kitchen's 13 points behind him in second with 84. And then Vial's sitting at 81 points, 16 points behind. Hymus is pretty close in fourth at 78. And then Shimoda's a distant 62. So that's your top five.
Yeah, and I keep waiting for Joe Shimoda. The outdoors to me seem like an easier fit for him, and I keep waiting for him to step up. Now, Thunder Valley offers some different things that we don't see. Much slower bikes. Okay, Honda went to work, if you recall, in Salt Lake City, and really had their bikes running good at that elevation. Think of all the hole shots they pulled, right? Maybe that plays into Joe having a breakout weekend here at Thunder Valley. Something to think about. Now, the elevation also makes it harder for your fitness. It makes it to where some guys have issues with elevation sickness. You can potentially boil fuel, especially when it's this hot. So we could see some mechanical issues if teams aren't really paying attention there. They'll run different fuels that have lower boiling points or higher boiling points. So yeah, these teams will do a lot of things to try to prevent that fuel boiling. You'll see, them just trying to cool the fuel cell. Maybe it's like cooling aprons that hang over it, fans on it, and then a lot of the heat shield stuff, the tape that you stick on the bottom of the tank, just to try to direct that radiant heat off. The fuel will boil easily.
Hey,
So
I have a question on fuel. When you were racing, did the teams actually keep the fuel in an ice chest or on ice or in a refrigerator for when you were at the high altitude? Did they do anything like that?
yeah, they would set them in. It depends on where you've got to keep your fuel. Some of the places make you keep it in a separate area, but at least the little refill can after they do the parade lap, they'll all refill with kind of a bottle similar to these UR water bottles, the aluminum one. Um, they'll keep those in an ice chest so that they're nice and cold when they go in. Anything they can do to keep that temp down to prevent that issue. Okay, so let's look at the 450. And anybody, you got any favorites out of these guys? Like, it's really, if you're looking at what we've seen so far, it's hard to bet against Hayden Deegan. He looks to be fit. He's hungry. His starts are good. Like, he doesn't really have a lot of holes in his game so far in this outdoor championship. So kind of tough to bet against him. At this point, I think I agree with you between Kitchen, Vial, Shimoda, all the guys kind of falling in line next. I think probably Vial is your best bet to start getting on a roll. This is a two-time MXGP champion. He's got the pedigree. I think it's a matter of time before we see him up there and pushing Hayden, but will it be this weekend? We'll have to find out. Let's look at the 450 class. Take us through the points there. Obviously, that big crash from Jett threw everything off in the points, and Chase is now looking really good, and it makes for a very interesting setup in a couple of our bet online options here. So we'll get to that too. Take us through the points.
So Sexton's sitting in first at 90, so he's coming in hot with the red plate. And then 12 or 8 points behind him is Hunter Lawrence. He's in second, and then in third is AP and Jay Coop. Actually, they're tied in points at 69 points. So that's your top three.
And where's Jett?
And Jett is sitting back in fifth, or I'm sorry, he's in sixth at 24 points behind with 66 points.
So he's almost an entire moto behind Chase.
Yeah.
And to me, this is going to be an interesting weekend because now Chase is like, you got to believe he's riding a high of confidence. That second moto up there was incredible at Hangtown. He's got to come into this weekend feeling strong. Obviously, his fitness is there. So that isn't going to be an issue this weekend. I'm sure that the KTM guys will have the elevation situation sorted out. So how does Jett rebound? To me, this is a huge question. He has got to come in and reestablish his dominance. But how banged up is he? That crash was gnarly. So I think he got through the day on adrenaline and just like, I've got to go out and score some points. I promise you, Sunday, Monday, he was really sore. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't ride all week. Spent the whole week doing rehab and ice baths and trying to just get his body healthy. Doesn't mean he's going to lose his fitness for this weekend, but it's definitely not the way you want to lead up to a race. I'm just speculating, but he slammed hard. And if he wasn't hurting, he would have ridden much better that second moto. So he has got some soreness. And thank God it's only that. He hit the ground really hard. Like, I'm stoked he didn't get hurt because he could have easily.
I think one thing on Jett, the one thing that concerns me, I think they can do a lot with that red light therapy and all the stretching and stuff they can do for all the muscle soreness. I think, that's why these guys work out and they're so strong, right? I think they can do a lot with that to get them into pretty good shape. The one thing I think is the $64,000 question that concerns me is he said he took a chunk out of his leg that got into the muscle. And I don't care how tough you are or how much therapy you do, if you've got an injury like that, that's going to affect how he's riding his bike throughout the motos. It's going to start playing a factor with how much he can use that leg and what degree of damage is done to that leg. I think it was his left leg that got it, if I'm not mistaken. You could see in the video when he was getting back off the ground, he kind of looked back and like ran his hand across his leg right about just above his boot, I think is where probably that area is at if I was a betting man. But I think that's going to be the one thing that's really going to determine how good he rides or not is the chunk in his leg. He said he took some muscle out, so that's probably a pretty good gash.
Well, the way his foot got torn off and he kind of landed on the left side of the bike with his feet, my guess is it would have been his right side.
Or yeah, maybe it was right. Yeah.
But those foot pegs on any of those factory bikes, it's a bear trap. They are like, he's lucky he didn't, take a
Ask
gigantic
Dean's
chunk.
ass. Ask
Yeah.
Dean's ass.
That's a new segment for the show. Ask Dean's ass. So what questions do you guys have? We'll get answers for you quickly as soon as we can get Dean's ass on the show. Okay. So I want to talk about this, odds, okay, for the weekend. Because if we're talking about who are we putting money on, what are you thinking? There's a bunch of people, I think, who could fill out that last spot on the podium and top 5. I think we've got a pretty good mix between Hunter Lawrence, Cooper, AP. There's a lot of guys I think that could get in that mix, but I think this really is already looking like a 2-person battle for the title to me. If Jett comes back healthy and comes back strong, and it's Jett and Chase, like you can just see the writing on the wall. Doesn't mean those other guys aren't going to get up there. And like I said, there's going to be, I think, a rotating spot on the podium for one of those 3, 4, 5 guys. So 24 points. Do you want to take a swing at the math of how long it'll take him to make that up?
No, Denny Stevenson pointed out that I'm a product of the public school system. Thanks, Debo, Dick. But yeah, I got my math wrong. But I think it was what four rounds in 1-1-2-2, and Jets tied it back up. But I don't see him going 1-1 right out the gate, especially Colorado with all those ruts. I mean, that's going to take a lot of leg strength and stuff like that. I just
don't see it with how good Chase is riding. I feel like something clicked for him at Hangtown.
It did.
I mean, you could see it right in that second moto.
Dude, he wasn't even tired.
No, he didn't look it. Yeah.
No.
So to me, the series just got really interesting, but in a way did it. So let's go through some of these bet online odds because this is crazy. So if you're not familiar with this, you can go to Bet Online. It's the only place you can bet on the sport of motocross. It's super cool that these guys have come on board. And you got different ways to do it. There's head-to-head matchups. So this weekend's matchups are Deegan versus Kitchen, Shimoda versus Swole, which I like that one. And my money, I'd put money on Shimoda on that one. And then Kitchen versus Vial. Those two are really interesting to me. For the weekend, you can get the overall results. Deegan is -25, Kitchen's +165, Vial +250. Man, Vial would be a good bet if you wanted to, just throw a little chunk of money down. You might make some good money with him. Because I think, like we talked about, if anybody's going to step up and do it, I feel like he's the next guy. So that's really interesting. And then the 450 class, and there's also whole shots that will go up. Those odds will go up tomorrow, on Friday, rather. And your guy that you pick only has to get a whole shot in one moto to win the money. So it's pretty good odds there. Then in the 450 class, your matchups are Sexton versus Hunter. Okay, I know who I would bet on, and that seems like pretty safe money to me. AP versus Cooper, that's a good one. So you can lay money on that. And then here's the really interesting one. This is for the championship. Now listen to this. Jett versus the field. So it's Jett versus anybody else. Jett's -150, right? So you'd have to bet 150 to make 100. Where the field is +110. So think about that. You could pick the field right here, and if Chase wins it, wins the title, I mean, you're making good money. That's a pretty good bet right now. 24 points up. I mean, I know anything can happen. We talk a lot about that, but that's pretty good odds. Then at Thunder Valley, you got Jett is negative 130, which I was surprised by. Chase is 100 and Hunter at plus 230. Not a bad bet if you wanted to take a swing on Hunter doing well there. I think it's not too much of a stretch to say Hunter Lawrence is going to get a win this year. I really feel like at least a moto win, right? But he's been consistent. His starts have been good. I think he's better and better every weekend. So I think we'll see him on that podium a lot, and to see him steal a win, not going to surprise me one bit. What do you?
And how can these guys sign up for Bet Online?
You just go to Bet Online. It's super easy. You create an account, and actually, we'll have a link. If you look down in our description, we'll have it on our Instagram page and our bio. You can go there if you want to get to it easily. But you use our code. You go in, you create an account, figure out how you want to, which credit card you want to put it on or how you want to pay. And you start making bets. It's easy, super easy. And there's no minimums. So, what's fun about it is just throwing in like 20 bucks here, 20 bucks on that, and just gives you something extra to kind of keep an eye on over the weekend. Just raises the stakes a little bit. So pretty cool, a lot of fun. Check those guys out. And if you're betting, who would you go with this weekend? What's your thoughts for this 450 class?
In the 450 class, I think it's going to be Sexton with the overall, but I'm going to put it out there. I think Jay Coop's going to get a moto win. I just, the way he's riding, he got a third at Hangtown, and he really doesn't gel well with those California tracks. And Colorado's always been really good to him. He's always done very well there. So I think we're going to see, I'm picking him for second overall. I think they're going to, maybe he pulls the first moto out, and Sexton comes back. I think it's going to be a flip-flop. That's what I'm thinking. And then I think Hunter's going to be third overall. And I think Jett will be fourth or fifth, somewhere in there. I think he's going to have a little catching up to do. He could come out and win the whole damn thing, and I look like an idiot 2 weeks in a row, but it's all good.
All right. Yeah, I think Chase wins it this weekend. I think Jett and Hunter fill out the podium up. Just one of those two will be second or third. It's my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good, it could go anyway. Like you said, we have no idea what's going to happen with Jett Sunday to this coming Saturday. So really hard to kind of say anything for certain.
Yeah, he's
else?
probably got the best. He's probably got the best people in the business working on him, right? So, what would take us months to recover, he could probably do in days. With his health and the people he's got around him. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, if you got a chunk of meat torn out of your leg, there isn't a whole lot you can do about that. That's
No.
That just takes some time. And you're right, he'll heal a lot faster than you or I, but still going to be sore. There's no question.
Who do you got for the 250s?
250 class, man. Like I said, I think it's pretty tough to bet against Hayden. And
I don't think he did very well there last year, though, did he? I think he crashed out at Thunder Valley last year, didn't he?
I'd have to go back and look, but it doesn't matter. There isn't a track that he can't ride. It's a dirt bike track.
The kid's sick, dude. He's got all his ducks in a row right now, and I think you're right. He probably will win it. He's got a huge points lead now. I think it's going to be Deegan, Vial, and Kitchen.
I do too. If I'm picking a podium, those are my three guys right now, and I just have no other stats to back up anything else. I want to see Shimoda get in there. There's a handful of other guys I think are capable, but
I like that bet on Shimoda and Swole because they're tied in points right now. And dude, Swole, he's got that dog in him, like those kids say. Like Nate always says that, right? He's got the dog in him. But I was paying attention to Swole the first two nationals of the year, and dude, he's riding hard. He's gelling well with that bike, and I think he's going to get up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets on the podium at High Point. I mean, we know he won that race on a Husky, and he just needs to kind of get all his ducks in a row. But I wouldn't be surprised if he really surprises a couple of us in the next couple of weekends.
He's definitely riding great. He's having the best year he's ever had, I think. I'm curious to see if the Triumph guys run into any problems. This is their first time going to elevation for a national, right? And now I know the people they've got over there, super highly qualified, incredible resumes, right? I'm not saying that they don't have that, but you don't know till you know. And I doubt those guys have gone to elevation and pounded out 40-minute motos to
Well,
check
hopefully they had
where they're at.
Joey up there for a little while, in April or something when it was warming up to ride.
That would have been smart, but I'm not sure that logistically that's difficult to do. Hey,
Yeah,
drive to
no doubt.
Colorado and go find a track and hammer out some motos to make sure that we're good for that race coming up. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. It'll just be interesting. A first time manufacturer up there. Like I said, all the other teams have run into issues over the years, and you don't see those gremlins until you're in that situation, right? And
Yeah.
even if he had gone earlier, it's cold,
Yeah. So
right?
it's
Now,
a little different. Yeah.
very different. So just something to keep an eye on. I have no reason to believe they will have problems other than we've seen almost every other team at some point have issues at these races. So something to keep an eye on. Anything else you want to jump in and add here?
No, it's just been a hell of a season so far already. I mean, with Jet having that crash, I mean, you hate to see it, but we all kind of assumed it was going to be a snooze fest. And, a quarter lap into the first moto at Hangtown, well, the whole thing just went out the window and the baby went out with the bathwater. So there's new blood in the series for the fans, which is awesome. Unfortunately, Jet paid the price for it, but he was still able to ride, which was rad. I think it's going to be a dogfight all the way to the end, and I just can't wait to see it. And I cannot wait for Hayden and Vial to get together and see how that one works, because I just don't think they like each other flat out. Whatever it was, maybe they didn't like each other before all that stuff started at Detroit or whatever. But I don't think it's got any better. They're not going to send each other any Christmas cards. So I can't wait till they get on the track and start rubbing paint. It's going to be fun to watch.
Well, listen, throw Kitchen into that mix. If I was Levi Kitchen and I had to sit next to Hayden Diggin after Paula and listen to him say what he said, I'd be leaving some tire marks on him at the next round. I mean,
Yeah.
that was incredibly disrespectful. And I think that if Levi Kitchen, I think he's not quite there, maybe mentally yet, but like as he builds into it, if he can,
Yeah.
where he can run with him and he finds that little extra bit that he needs.
Yeah, like I said, I see both sides of it. Like if I was Kitchen's place, I would have been fired up and wanting to go roll around in the rocks. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, get some. So I can see both sides of it, and that's water under the bridge. But he's got to light a fire under his ass and get aggressive, or he's gonna get smoked. I really think that's where it is. You got to be aggressive outdoors. I think you got to get that dog fired up, and if he doesn't, he's gonna end up having a crappy summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been up on the box pretty much every single race, so he's doing fine. But you're right; he's got to find a little bit of intensity, and that just comes from right here, And he either will find it or he won't. But he needs to do it before Hayden gets too many points out front, and gets this thing out of control.
And that's what I like about that kid is, he'd do well in the WWF after his motocross career is over. He knows sure how to stir the pot and say what he's got to say and just mess with your head. I think he went to the Cooper Webb School of getting in a rider's head, and like I said, I can't wait to see it. I'm here for it.
All right. Well, I think it crosses a line between brazen arrogance and just confidence or messing with someone's head. But it's divided pretty evenly, right? There's a camp that loves it. There's a camp that doesn't.
Yep.
And a lot of people will say, like I had a talk with Sean Palmer. This talk about an arrogant guy. Like he went out of his way to try to say things to piss people off, and he loves it. Like, he just thinks it's great. He goes, "Man, the sport needs that. We need a bad guy. We need a guy that just runs his mouth and stirs it up." And I'm like, "All right, yeah. I mean, I guess you're right." So we'll see what happens. So
Hey, I'll tell you one thing the kid needs though. He came up pumping the flag, and it was awesome to see, you know. But when AP went up there, he showed him how to wave a flag. So hopefully Hayden was paying attention for if he gets on the top step of the podium this weekend that he can do the AP wave. I mean that guy was in it to win it for the flag wave. So Hayden can work on that this week. That'd be great.
yeah, for sure. All right, hey, quick shout out to our sponsors one more time before we check out. Bet Online. Go sign up and have some fun with this. It's actually really fun to do. Super easy. There's a link on our Instagram page and our link tree, or you can just look in the bio, the description down here, and we'll have it. Factory Connection. If you guys need some suspension work done, go check those guys out. UR Water, amazing stuff. We have a code. We're gonna put this out on our social media as well. We have a code to get a discount on Amazon here. You get a case of this stuff shipped to you. It's awesome. Rock and Turf, they got some really cool mats. If you guys haven't checked those guys out, go look at them on Instagram at Rock and Turf. And Maxxis Tires, truck tires, mountain bike tires, whatever you need, check them out. We appreciate the support of all these guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great weekend. If you're going to Denver, like I said, take a peek at the weather. It's going to be typical Denver weather, real hot, and then maybe windy and rain, who knows. And check back in on Monday. We will have riders meeting where we break down everything we see. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.